extraordinaire, the gemologist.
All right, the next box, today's box, from Cobalt Press. Another Cobalt Press item. This one is a box, not an envelope. It is 10 by 13 and 13. 10 by 13. Yep. I might be able to just use. It's like tape. Like I can unfold it. Just cut the tape. Boom. Circus peanuts. See, circus peanuts are bad. Circus peanuts are bad because if you have animals, they tend to eat them, especially dogs. Cats will eat them because they're like cornstarch or something. It's like chemicals. Not good for animals. Not good for animals. So I gotta make sure I clean them all up, and they don't get everywhere, which they have a tendency to, as you know. So anyway, all right, we opened that. There's an envelope. Inside the envelope, there's a small book. I think it's one of these 5x7s. Is that A5 size? I don't know. It seems a little wider than. It is actually 7 by 9. I don't know what size that is actually. Anyway, 7 by 9. It is the Tome of Heroes Pocket Edition. So in it, it has cool. It has races, class options for 5e background, and for Kobold's Midgard Press background feats, adventuring gear. Ooh, gunpowder. Special material, adventuring rules, downtime, group themes, weapon options, magic and spells, and some new magic items. It looks like it's a compilation of. A lot of playtesters from this book. I don't think I playtested this book here particularly. Anyway, pretty cool. It clocks in, wow, it's a sizable tome at 316 pages of stuff with a few pages of ads. Yeah, wow, lots of. I guess I wonder if these are additional race options because these races come here and there. Or maybe it is the definitive. But this is also pre-Tasha, so there's still some bonuses to being your different species. The class options cool, different barbarian, primal paths, colleges, etc. So 70 new subclasses, 20 new races and sub-races, dozen new backgrounds, shop's worth of equipment, firearms. I definitely want to take a look at the firearms section when I mini review this, but just at a glance. Okay, it just talks about gunpowder, doesn't really, and armor. Okay, there they are, under weapons. They have a few and how it'll work. They are martial weapons. That's cool. Martial, listed as martial weapons. Good stuff. I don't know. Depends if you want to add that into your game. We've had a discussion about that on Cerebral War. But I will look at this in depth. Tome of Heroes, Pocket Edition by Cobalt Press. Did I not have a proper intro? Sorry about that. Hey, this is Carl Rodriguez of The Geomologist. You're listening to The Geomologist Presents. And, well, those were the sounds of the Flying Saucer, a place where I like to go and drink a few beers. And you heard the unboxing of the Cobalt Press Tome of Heroes Pocket Edition, actually. So it is the Pocket Edition. And just to reiterate, it's 316 pages of mostly player-facing items. And you know what? After taking a look at this, I think the next 5e-based campaign that I am going to run is going to be run in Midgard in Kobold Press's world. It's very impressive. Chapter 1 is races. Chapter 2 is even more impressive than Chapter 1 with class options. In fact, it's 103 pages worth of class options. New Barbarian Primal Path, Bard Colleges, Cleric Divine Domains, Druid Circles, Fighter Martial Archetypes, and I will pull out a few interesting ones from there. Paladin, Sacred Oaths, Monastic Traditions, Ranger Archetypes, Roguish Archetypes, Sorceress Origins, Warlock Patrons, and Wizard Arcane Traditions. But first of all, in the races, we have a really neat compilation of new races. Alciad, which are like Centaur, Deer Folk, Cat Folk, and I think what's kind of cool, they have like your typical Lith Cat Folk, and a fat cat, which is kind of funny. If you all have cats, sometimes cat get overweight just because they eat sometimes and all that. Interestingly, I feel like this came up after the last. What is the 2022 is the copyright, but it still has for each ancestry. It does have what they call still class race in this book. Is they do have bonuses to a couple scores as in the original 5e Player's Handbook. They haven't incorporated, I guess, Natasha's revisit, which is you can put +2 on 2 different ability scores, I believe. Anyway, what is cool, they also have Dara Cool, which is ghoul. So in Midgard, there's this race of ghouls that are not sort of your feral ghouls that you see in your old school games, or even in most D&D based games of ghouls, like feral, unintelligent. It just eats things, mindless in a way. But I remember at Al-Qadim they had gulls, which are more intelligent. Ghouls were not as feral and could think. I guess they had advanced ghouls. And here, Darkul are the ghouls that right. They're not. Oh, so Darkul are actually, they are both ordinary ghouls, and Darkul arise from the infected corpses of other races. But Darkul, so there is this ghoul kingdom in Midgard underneath the earth. So what's interesting is that they have heritage subraces as well. So if you get Darkul fever and become one of these, you can come from Darrow, Dragonborn, Drow, Dwarf, Elf, Halfling, Kobold, Ravenfolk, Tiefling, or Trollkin. So they even have a Darrow as a playable race. Different sub races of that. Drow are in here, so you could play a totally underground themed campaign in Midgard. Dwarves, different new types of dwarves, or they explain the dwarves that exist. Fireforged dwarves, spindrift dwarves, which are ocean-dwelling dwarves. So your dwarven swashbuckler, different elves, Dunewalker elf, frost elf. They have Arena, which are hedgehog folk. Gearforged, which would be like Warforged. What else do we got? And they have different chassis that you can have: a dwarf, gnome, human, kobold. They have gnomes, different types of gnomes. Shoal gnome, which are also aquatic. A weird gnome as well. Different types of halflings: court folk, hinterfolk, river folk, urban halfling, winter folk, minotaurs. They do have minotaurs, I feel, either in the Southlands book or in the Midgard core book. But they do have minotaurs revisited, apparently. Maybe they have, let's see. Oh, they have, no, they still have the strength and con. Strength by 2, con by 1. They have the different minotaur, maybe minotaur sub, or alternate, what do they call them? Alternate minotaur traits. And then they have mushroom folk, Satare, which they're also called Devourers. They kind of look, they are distant cousins to the Dragonborn. They look vaguely lizard-like, but a bit more like, if you know what anglerfish look like with that extended jaw, they kind of have that look. Shades, and class options to me, and I think I will highlight. Well, there's like 5 different class options for all of these classes. I think one of the most interesting to me is actually I mean, a lot of new druid circles. A lot of, I guess, a bottom line, a lot of different player options in this. So in here, as a fighter archetype, they have fighting style options, and you can choose gunfighting. One of them being the Buccaneer, which I think is kind of cool. Um, they have a chaplain for a military company, pugilist. I thought that was really kind of neat. So like a fist of cups type of person, and they also have like something called the Time Blade, which they move so quickly that they defy time. So a lot of kind of neat alternate class options, which I thought there's also. I think there's a gunslinger. There's definitely a gun mage I saw in there's gunfighting and ranger archetype, and there's probably one. I believe there's one in the rogue archetype. I think the one in the ranger looks kind of neat. It's like a two pistol wielding a la Solomon. Well, Solomon Kane would be pistol and saber, but it looks like a dual pistol wielding archetype here, which is kind of cool. So I kind of like a lot of the class options that I would let players kind of pick these up. So backgrounds and feats, a lot of new backgrounds that they have. Not as extensive as the class options, but I'm just looking here. I'm page thumbing through so far. It's like 30 pages of different backgrounds and feats. I think in the a la Spelljammer, I believe they're now kind of pushing the idea like in sort of in one D&D. Maybe I'm wrong, but I guess I overheard when I was playing a Spelljammer game that you can now take feats on top of ability score bonuses. You can take a feat at first level and then a feat at fourth level. It's no longer just like an either or. I think you get both the ability score bonus and the feat. And they have some more feats in here that are very interesting. Some of the backgrounds they have like a diplomat background, former adventurer. That's kind of funny. So getting the band back together. Gamekeeper. I thought one was fun. Innkeeper. So you used to be working in an inn. So that's kind of cool. Mercenary company, Scion. Kind of cool. Monstrous adoptee. So maybe you're raised by I don't know what to say. Left for Dead, but raised by monsters, which is interesting. I don't know what the monstrous parents would be. That's kind of cool. So Parfumier. So some interesting ones, some strange ones. So there's one called Sentry, Trophy Hunter. Um, then they have after that, the backgrounds and features, adventuring gear, and I think the most important thing to look at and highlight is the gunpowder rules. So they they have a new trait called for these weapons called gunpowder, and I think it's a really neat trait because here's what it does. The main thing, I mean, all these powder weapons are gunpowder. These are all kind of right. They're kind of the late medieval Renaissance swashbuckling type. So flintlocks is kind of the height of the technology. And what I like about the gunpowder rules, um, fire bombs, etc. If you roll the highest possible number on individual damage dice, it's like a 6 on a d6, then you re-roll that to increase the damage, and can keep exploding. They call it a burst in here. And interestingly, so like if the weapon does 2d4 and you roll a 3 and a 4, you re-roll the 4 and add to that 7 sum. Another cool thing too, any of the damage dice from a weapon, including the extra damage from a critical hit or sneak attack, can also burst when you're using these weapons. So the example is a second level rogue fires a pistol and scores a critical hit with a sneak attack. The character rolls 46 damage, getting a 1, a 3, a 6, and another 6. So you kind of roll those other two sixes together. So I guess in the example, they roll a 4 and a 6 with that. So the final damage is 26 from one pistol shot, making guns pretty powerful. So they also have like a magazine quality, and they have a lot of different weapons. I think they'll see. They're also you also don't have to take an extra feat for them. They're martial weapons, I believe. I don't think. No, there are simple or martial weapons or martial range weapons. So a pistol is a simple range ranged weapon, whereas a blunderbuss or a dwarven revolving musket or dwarven arquebus is a martial ranged weapon. So ammunition range, gunpowder magazine, um, and they have like a magazine load and I guess a magazine trait. Um, you have to you can make maybe weapon does not need to be reloaded between each attack, provided the magazine has ammunition remaining, allowing you to make multiple attacks with the weapon if you can make iterative attacks. And when the ammunition is depleted, you can swap out the magazine to a full magazine as an action or bonus action, depending on your probably archetype or if you have the appropriate action to do that. So pretty cool. Obviously, like the blunderbuss, it looks like it might have an ability to hit multiple targets. So they have musket, etc. So pretty exciting, I think, to have gunpowder and have those rules very defined. A lot of interesting adventuring gear. Clockwork creations are added. Clockwork is a big thing in the Midgard world. And then creature stats, they have a lot of clockwork animals. For creatures, I see an elephant, olifant, a pit terrier. You can have a fighting dog, a war pig, if you like Black Sabbath, Wolverines, if you loved that movie Red Dawn. So yeah, adventuring rules. So this is kind of another interesting ad that is would probably be fun to put in. And other games have this, namely like Warhammer Fantasy, and maybe 5e has this, but this probably maybe adds to the rules of the downtime rules. So you can, there are various other downtime things that you can do. They add to that support reputation, create a masterpiece, creating preserves. That's kind of fun. You can make preserves, just earn extra money. Criminal enterprise or is in here. Magic plant gardening. I thought one was kind of cool. Was managing a trading company, so you can play space trucking. Well, I guess it'd be wagon trucking or real trucking, carriage trucking in D&D, and it does have several tables on how to buy low and sell high, which I think is very interesting. So they have a trade sheets and everything, how to make profit. Running a manor is another thing. Manor ownership and operation is in here, so they kind of have like a domain play, all that trading company or the manor. Manor complications are in there, so that's a mini game in itself, which I think is kind of neat. Running a caravan is another thing in here, it seems. So I think that's kind of neat as well. So, yep. And then they have different stats for that. Then they have themes, group themes. You can, when you get the band together, the group together, you can have different themes, and that can help the GM and the players kind of determine, what they want to do going forward. Some more weapon options to do other options than just I just attack. Weapon options. I think one was interesting is like let's see if there's one that's interesting. Oh, harmless fusillade. So that's like trying to keep people's head down, make attack with a weapon, discharge a weapon instead. While aiming, you kind of can distract them instead of harming them. And then the last part of the book, chapter 6, is magic and spells. They have dragon rune casting. Maybe there's a dwarven rune casting something somewhere. Hedge magic is also divine in here, and then a whole host of spells that takes us all the way to the end, all the way to chapter 7. Let's see how many. I don't want to count the number of spells, but suffices to say there are, and they're in alphabetical order. There are. Let's see, there are almost 40. There's 40. Oh, more than that. 45 pages of spells, and then magic items. I think they have some kind of a few cool magic items. I thought the ones that were most interesting was something called a chain Celise, which is a bracelet made of a spiked chain that you damage yourself and it gives you key points. And the other one that I thought was interesting was the ninefold swarm dagger. So you get a +1 bonus to attack and damage with the weapon, and when you stab, ghostly duplicates of the dagger fly up to 3 creatures that you see within 30 feet of the initial target, and you make a ranged attack to see if you hit. And it's basically you stab someone and shoots out daggerly looking magic missiles, which is kind of neat. And there you go. Oh, Stormheart Bow is another interesting one. And you can create an enchanted arrow as you shoot, or make a thunder arrow as you shoot a dragon from the bow. It's made of dragon bone with a fey heartstring. Oh, lovely. When you hit 1d6 lightning damage and 5 charges for the following other properties to make it enchanted. Can turn to ice and shatter in midair, uh, like a aerial bombardment type of thing. Um, Cold damage, thunder arrow. So very interesting things, and that's Tome Heroes. A very quick mini review, and definitely something that I would add to my next 5e game, which, like I said, I'm probably going to run in Midgard. So, hey, I'll just do the outro, make this a short episode, although it seems like this was quite a bit of the mini review. So, thank you for listening to The Geomologist Prevents. You can contact me at geomologist@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments about this or any other episode. I have a SpeakPipe account where you can leave me a message. You can always leave me a message using the Anchor website. Good luck with that. And I think that's about it. TJ Drennan does the intro and outro music. And today is the cover of the Tome of Heroes. Hopefully, they tell me who the cover art is by. And that cover art is by Craig J. Spearing. So that's pretty awesome. Normally, my wife Amy Lee does the clip cover art. And I think that's it. So, hey, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.